Most people think that maintaining strong erections after 60 is a battle fought with pills, pumps, or complicated, expensive treatments. They see it as a mechanical problem that needs a mechanical fix, a sign of inevitable decline that must be aggressively counteracted. But what if I told you that the real key to lasting potency isn't found in a pharmacy bottle, but in a series of simple, quiet rituals you perform every single night before you go to sleep? It sounds strange, I know. In a world that pushes for a quick fix for everything, the idea that something so profound can be influenced by subtle, nightly habits seems almost too simple to be true. But the truth is, your body's ability to perform is directly tied to its ability to recover, regenerate, and rebalance. It's something more and more forward-thinking urologists, endocrinologists, and men's health experts are beginning to acknowledge. The system is waking up to a new reality. The aggressive, symptom-focused approach to men's health has often ignored the root causes. We've been so focused on forcing a result that we've neglected the very foundations that create that result naturally. This one-size-fits-all solution, often centered around a single pill, can be harmful. It can create dependency, mask underlying health issues like cardiovascular disease or hormonal imbalances, and ignore the holistic nature of male vitality. Things that might have offered a temporary boost in our 40s can become a crutch that weakens the body's own systems in our 60s and beyond. In this video, we're going to take a deep, insightful look at 8 specific nightly rituals that can fundamentally change your erectile health. These are the kinds of foundational practices that many experts often do themselves, but rarely have the time to explain in a 15-minute office visit. We'll explore why the common approaches often fall short, the hidden science behind why these simple nightly actions are so powerful, and how you can easily integrate them into your life starting tonight. This isn't about chasing a memory of your 20-year-old self. It's about claiming a vibrant, confident, and fulfilling intimate life in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. You deserve more than a quick fix. You deserve genuine, sustainable health. Let's begin. The first secret we're going to uncover is what I call the pelvic floor paradox. It's number 1 on our list, the foundational release ritual. Now, when men hear about the pelvic floor, they almost always think of one thing: Kegels. Tensing, squeezing, strengthening. It seems logical, right? If you want to improve function in a part of the body, you strengthen the muscles around it. We do it for our biceps, our legs. Why not for this? For years, that was the standard advice. But as we age, a different problem often emerges, one that all the squeezing in the world can't fix and can actually make much worse. The shift from helpful to harmful happens when a muscle becomes chronically tight or hypertonic. Think of it like a fist that's been clenched for so long it's forgotten how to open. A tight, tense pelvic floor doesn't support healthy erections, it strangles them. Here's the science behind it. Your pelvic floor is a sling of muscles at the base of your pelvis. It's involved in urinary control, bowel function, and, crucially, erections. An erection is all about blood flow. Arteries need to relax and open up, a process called vasodilation, to allow blood to rush into the penile tissues. At the same time, veins need to be gently compressed to keep that blood there. A healthy, flexible pelvic floor does this perfectly, but a chronically tight one does the opposite. First, it can physically constrict the very arteries that need to open, restricting inflow from the start. It's like trying to fill a balloon while someone is pinching the opening. Second, a tense pelvic floor can't properly manage the outflow. Instead of a gentle compression, it can create a chaotic pressure system that impedes the entire hydraulic process. Third, and this is critical, chronic tension sends constant stress signals to your nervous system, keeping you in a low-grade state of fight or flight. An erection is an act of the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. You cannot be tense and relaxed at the same time. A tight pelvic floor is a physical manifestation of tension that makes achieving that relaxed state, necessary for an erection, biologically difficult. Finally, this chronic tension can lead to pelvic pain, discomfort during intimacy, and even issues with urination, all of which create a psychological feedback loop of anxiety and performance pressure, making the problem even worse. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert, a 68-year-old retired architect, was a man who took pride in his discipline and his health. He still played tennis twice a week and could out-hike men half his age. He was in excellent physical condition, feeling strong and vital. But he started noticing his erections weren't as reliable as they used to be. Worried, he went online and read all about Kegels. It made perfect sense to him. A problem of strength required a strength-based solution. For 3 months, Robert diligently did his Kegels every day. He'd do them while driving, while watching the news, convinced he was fixing the problem. But things got worse. He started experiencing a dull ache in his perineum, and his erections became even more fleeting. Intimacy, once a source of joy, became a source of intense frustration and failure. The harder he squeezed, the more his body seemed to fight back, until he started avoiding intimacy altogether. He's now working with a pelvic floor physical therapist who is teaching him to release, not to clench. He's learning that his decades of sitting at a desk, combined with the stress of his career and his no pain, no gain attitude, had created a pelvic floor as tight as a drum. His regret is palpable. He spent months actively making his own condition worse, all because he was following what seemed like logical advice. The medical community is slowly catching up to this reality. Leading pelvic floor physical therapists and some forward-thinking urologists now recommend a release-first approach for many men over 50. They understand that for many of us, especially those who have sat in chairs for decades or hold stress in our bodies, the problem isn't weakness, it's excessive tension. The protocols designed for younger men or for post-prostatectomy recovery don't apply to a man dealing with age-related hypertonicity. The new understanding is that you can't strengthen a muscle that you can't first relax. So, what's the nightly ritual? It's a simple reverse Kegel or a pelvic drop. Instead of squeezing, you focus on letting go. Every night, before sleep, you lie down comfortably. Take a deep belly breath in, and as you exhale, you imagine the entire area between your pubic bone and your tailbone gently descending, softening, and widening. You're not pushing, you're releasing. This isn't about neglect, it's about profound wisdom. It's choosing finesse over force. This connects directly to your quality of life, reestablishing a sense of ease and control in your own body. It's an act of letting go of the tension you've been holding for years, not just physically, but mentally. You are making a conscious choice to shift your body from a state of tension to a state of receptive relaxation, creating the perfect environment for natural function to return. Moving on from the physical foundation of our pelvis, let's explore something that happens with every breath we take, yet we rarely give it a second thought. This brings us to our second nightly ritual, the nitric oxide breathing protocol. It seems almost too simple, doesn't it? That the way you breathe for just a few minutes in the evening could have a direct impact on your erections. Most men, when they think about improving blood flow, think about exercise or supplements. They think of things you have to do actively, things that require effort. The idea of lying still and just breathing feels passive, almost inconsequential. But this is where we misunderstand the profound connection between our respiratory system and our vascular health. The transition from helpful to harmful here is the shift from shallow, unconscious, often mouth breathing, which is a stress response, to deep, intentional, nasal breathing, which is a powerful relaxation and healing response. The very way most of us breathe throughout our stressful days is actively working against our erectile function at night. The science here is elegant and powerful. The key player is a molecule called nitric oxide, or NO. Your body produces it, and it is the master regulator of blood flow. Nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator, meaning it signals the smooth muscles in the walls of your arteries to relax and open up. When it comes to erections, nitric oxide is non-negotiable. Without sufficient levels of NO, the arteries in the penis simply cannot open wide enough to allow for the robust inflow of blood required for a firm erection. Here's where the breathing comes in. A significant portion of your body's nitric oxide is produced in your paranasal sinuses. When you breathe through your nose, you pick up this NO and carry it down into your lungs, where it's absorbed into the bloodstream and distributed throughout your body. Mouth breathing completely bypasses this critical step. So, the first risk of improper breathing is simply starving your body of a primary source of this essential molecule. Second, the type of breathing matters. Deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing, the kind where your belly rises and falls, stimulates the vagus nerve. This is the main highway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system we mentioned earlier. Stimulating this nerve lowers your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, and shifts your entire body out of a stressed state and into a relaxed one. This is the exact physiological state required for an erection to occur. Shallow chest breathing does the opposite. It activates the sympathetic fight or flight system, releasing cortisol and constricting blood vessels. Third, consistent nasal breathing improves oxygenation of the blood. It humidifies and filters the air, allowing for more efficient gas exchange in the lungs. Better oxygenated blood is healthier blood, which contributes to the overall health of your entire vascular system, including the delicate tissues of the penis. Over years, poor breathing habits contribute to chronic low-grade stress and suboptimal nitric oxide levels, creating a vascular environment that is less and less responsive. I want to introduce you to David. David was a 63-year-old financial advisor, a man whose life was defined by high-stakes pressure and constant deadlines. He was sharp, respected, and always on. He was in good health for his age, managing his cholesterol with diet and walking every morning. But his intimate life had become a source of deep anxiety. He felt a disconnect, as if his mind wanted one thing, but his body wouldn't cooperate. His doctor gave him a prescription, which worked, but he hated the feeling of being dependent on it. He wanted to solve the real problem. He heard about breathwork from a wellness podcast and was deeply skeptical. It sounded too new age for a numbers guy like him. But, feeling he had nothing to lose, he decided to try it. Every night, he'd lie in bed for 5 minutes, focusing only on breathing slowly in and out through his nose, making his belly rise and fall. The first few nights were frustrating. His mind would race. But he persisted. After about 2 weeks, he noticed something profound. It wasn't just about erections. He was falling asleep faster. He felt a sense of calm he hadn't experienced in years. Then, one weekend, a moment of spontaneous intimacy with his wife was successful, without him even thinking about it. It felt natural, easy. The constant loop of performance anxiety in his head had gone quiet. He's now 65 and calls his nightly breathing his non-negotiable. He realizes his high-stress life had conditioned him to breathe in a way that was constantly signaling danger to his body. And that simple, intentional breathing was the key to signaling safety, which was the permission his body needed to function properly. This isn't just anecdotal. The medical world is increasingly recognizing the therapeutic power of breath. Pulmonologists, cardiologists, and specialists in psychosomatic medicine are all publishing research on how specific breathing techniques can regulate the autonomic nervous system. The British Thoracic Society, for example, has guidelines on breathing retraining for conditions like asthma, which highlights the profound impact of breathing patterns on physiology. While not yet a mainstream urological recommendation for ED, the underlying science is undisputed. Leading andrologists are beginning to talk more about the role of the nervous system and stress in erectile function, and breathwork is the most direct tool we have to influence it. Protocols for managing anxiety and hypertension, which are major contributors to ED, frequently include diaphragmatic breathing. This is about recognizing that your body has an internal pharmacy, and the right breathing technique is a key that unlocks it. This nightly ritual is an act of reclaiming your body's innate intelligence. It's a statement that you don't always need an external solution when you have such a powerful internal one. It connects to the value of self-mastery, the ability to regulate your own state of being. By consciously choosing to calm your nervous system every night, you are not just hoping for a better outcome. You are actively creating the physiological conditions for it to happen. It's a move from being a passenger in your own body to being the pilot. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment the number 2 below to let me know you're here. It's a small thing, but it really helps me know that we're on the right track together. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do, and also turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Your support helps us continue creating good, in-depth content designed to inform and empower you on your health journey. We appreciate you being part of this community. Now, let's move forward to our third critical nightly habit. This brings us to a modern-day saboteur of men's health, something so common we don't even see it as a threat. I'm talking about our screens. So, our third nightly ritual is the digital sunset mandate. It sounds simple, almost like nagging advice you'd give a teenager. Get off your phone before bed. We logically know it's probably not great for us, but we see it as a minor issue of sleep hygiene, not something directly connected to the mechanics of an erection. We think, I'm just winding down, catching up on emails, watching a show. What's the harm? This is where a seemingly harmless habit becomes deeply detrimental. The assumption is that the content on the screen is the only thing affecting us. But there's something even more concerning. The light itself, specifically the blue light emitted by our phones, tablets, and televisions, is a powerful biological signal that is throwing a wrench into the hormonal machinery essential for male vitality. The science behind this is fascinating and deeply concerning. Your brain contains a master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which regulates your body's 24-hour cycles, known as circadian rhythms. This clock's primary cue from the environment is light. For millennia, bright light meant daytime, activity, and darkness meant nighttime, rest and repair. But now, we blast our eyes with bright, blue-spectrum light long after the sun has set. This light hits specialized receptors in our retinas and sends a powerful signal to the brain. It's still daytime. Stay awake. Don't start the nighttime repair sequence. This has a few disastrous consequences for male sexual health. First, it directly suppresses the production of melatonin. We think of melatonin as just a sleep hormone, but it's much more. It's a master antioxidant and a key regulator of other hormones. Suppressing melatonin keeps the stress hormone cortisol elevated well into the night. Cortisol is the chemical arch-nemesis of an erection. It promotes a fight-or-flight state, constricts blood vessels, and directly inhibits the processes that lead to arousal. Second, the most critical period for testosterone production in men is during the deep stages of sleep, particularly REM sleep. By delaying the onset of sleep and disrupting its architecture with blue light, you are directly shortening and degrading the very window of time your body has to manufacture its primary male hormone. Studies have shown that even a single week of poor sleep can slash testosterone levels by the same amount as aging 10 to 15 years. Third, this disruption creates a vicious cycle. Low testosterone and high cortisol lead to poor sleep quality, which in turn leads to even lower testosterone and higher cortisol. This hormonal imbalance not only impacts erections, but also affects mood, energy levels, and body composition. It's a downward spiral kicked off by something as seemingly innocent as checking your phone in bed. Let me tell you about Michael. Michael, a 61-year-old retired sales manager, was a news junkie and a social media enthusiast. He loved staying connected and informed. He was in good shape, playing golf regularly, and felt mentally sharp. His evenings, however, were spent glued to his iPad. He'd scroll through news sites, watch political commentary on YouTube, and engage in debates on Facebook, often right up until he turned the lights out at midnight. He started having significant trouble with erections. He blamed it on age, on stress from the news, on anything but his nightly habit. The problem became a major source of conflict and sadness in his marriage. His doctor ran tests, and his testosterone came back on the low end of normal. The doctor suggested it was just part of getting older. Frustrated, Michael's wife read an article about blue light and sleep. He was dismissive at first, calling it hippie nonsense. But she was persistent, and they made a deal, a 1-month experiment with no screens of any kind for 90 minutes before bed. He hated it at first. He felt bored, antsy, disconnected. He started reading books instead, listening to music, and just talking with his wife. The first week, he noticed he was falling asleep more easily. By the third week, the change was undeniable. His morning energy was better, his mood was lighter, and to his astonishment, his erectile function had started to improve dramatically. He's now a fierce advocate for the digital sunset. He realizes his screen time wasn't just winding down. It was a nightly dose of hormonal poison, and he regrets the years of frustration it caused him and his wife. The authority on this is clear and growing. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine, the National Sleep Foundation, and countless neurological and endocrinological associations all issue strong warnings about the impact of pre-sleep blue light exposure. They unequivocally recommend a screen-free period before bed for optimal sleep and hormonal health. While they might not explicitly frame it as an erection-fixing technique, the dots are easy to connect. when leading endocrinologists are linking poor sleep directly to low testosterone, and sleep scientists are linking blue light directly to poor sleep. The conclusion is unavoidable. This isn't about becoming a Luddite. This is about wisdom and biological respect. It's choosing to honor the ancient rhythms your body is wired for. It's a powerful act of self-preservation in a world that is constantly trying to hijack our biology for profit. This connects to the value of presence, being present in your own life, with your partner, in the quiet moments before sleep, rather than being digitally tethered to a world of endless stimulation and stress. By implementing a digital sunset, you are making a conscious choice to protect your hormonal health, prioritize deep restoration, and create the neurological and chemical environment necessary for a healthy, vibrant sex life. From the light that enters our eyes, we now turn to the liquid we put in our bodies. This leads us to our fourth nightly ritual, a surprisingly crucial one, the hydration timing secret. On the surface, this sounds completely backward. We are constantly told to drink more water. Hydration is essential for every bodily function, including blood flow. So, the logical conclusion would be to drink water all day, right up until bedtime, to ensure you're fully hydrated. How could stopping be a good thing? This is a classic case of a good thing done at the wrong time becoming a problem. The conventional wisdom about constant hydration, while well-intentioned, ignores a critical factor for men over 60, sleep quality. The shift from helpful to harmful occurs when your evening hydration habits begin to fragment your sleep, setting off a cascade of negative hormonal consequences that directly impact erectile function. The science here revolves around a condition called nocturia, which is the need to wake up one or more times during the night to urinate. This becomes increasingly common as men age due to changes in bladder capacity and hormonal shifts. The key hormone at play here is called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. Your brain releases ADH at night to signal your kidneys to produce less urine, allowing you to sleep for a long, uninterrupted stretch. However, as we get older, our bodies sometimes produce less ADH, or our kidneys become less responsive to it. When you drink a large glass of water right before bed, you are overwhelming this already compromised system. This leads to a few specific problems that sabotage your erections. First, and most obviously, it forces you to wake up. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. Being jolted out of sleep, especially deep sleep, is a significant stressor on the body. It breaks the carefully orchestrated sleep cycles your body needs for repair and regeneration. Second, this sleep fragmentation is devastating for testosterone production. As we discussed, your body's testosterone factory is only open for business during deep, consolidated sleep. Every time you get up to use the bathroom, you are effectively shutting down the assembly line. Doing this once or twice a night can dramatically reduce your total testosterone output. Third, each awakening causes a small spike in cortisol and adrenaline, your stress hormones. This not only makes it harder to fall back asleep, but also contributes to a chronically elevated level of stress hormones in your system, which, as we know, is directly antagonistic to erectile function. You end up in a state where your body is both deprived of the key hormone for libido, testosterone, and flooded with the key hormones for stress, cortisol, a disastrous combination for intimacy. Let's talk about Frank. Frank, a 70-year-old retired teacher, was the picture of health consciousness. He ate a clean diet, walked 3 miles every day, and carried a water bottle with him everywhere. He was proud of his discipline. He would even keep a large glass of water on his nightstand and finish it right before turning off the light, believing he was giving his body what it needed for the night. Yet, he was exhausted. He was waking up 2, sometimes 3 times a night to urinate, and his once healthy sex life had dwindled to almost nothing. He felt tired, irritable, and old. He assumed this was just his new reality. His doctor told him nocturia was common in men his age and didn't offer much of a solution. He felt completely resigned to this state of decline. It was his son, a personal trainer, who pointed out the obvious connection. He told Frank, "Dad, you're waterlogging yourself at night and destroying your sleep." Frank was resistant. It went against everything he believed about hydration. But he agreed to try an experiment. He would drink plenty of water all day, but have his last glass no later than 2 hours before his intended bedtime. The first night, he only woke up once. The third night, He slept straight through until 6 a.m. for the first time in years. He woke up feeling a level of refreshment he thought was gone forever. Within a few weeks, not only was his energy and mood transformed, but he and his wife were enjoying a renewed level of intimacy that he thought was a closed chapter of his life. He now understands that timing is just as important as quantity, and he regrets the years of self-inflicted exhaustion he endured out of a simple misunderstanding. The medical community absolutely backs this up. Urologists and sleep specialists consistently advise patients with nocturia to manage their fluid intake in the evening. This is standard, first-line advice. Organizations like the Urology Care Foundation provide clear guidelines on tapering off fluids before bed as a primary behavioral intervention. What's often missed is the connection back to erectile health. The urologist might solve the nocturia, but the patient may not realize that in doing so, they are also treating a major root cause of their ED. It's about understanding the domino effect. Evening fluids lead to nocturia. Nocturia leads to sleep fragmentation. Sleep fragmentation leads to hormonal imbalance, and hormonal imbalance leads to erectile dysfunction. By simply stopping the first domino from falling, you can prevent the entire chain reaction. This is about applying wisdom to a common health recommendation. It's not about being anti-hydration. It's about being pro-sleep. This practice connects to the value of strategic thinking and resource management. Your body's restorative sleep is your most valuable resource for health and vitality, and you must protect it fiercely. By making this small adjustment, you are choosing to prioritize the deep, uninterrupted healing that happens in the dark, quiet hours of the night, which is the ultimate foundation for daytime vitality and strength. Now we move from the physical to the mental, though as we're learning, the two are inextricably linked. Our fifth nightly ritual addresses the silent killer of virility, chronic stress. This ritual is the mind-body decompression practice. To many practical, no-nonsense men, this can sound like the softest, most ineffective advice imaginable. Meditate. How is sitting quietly going to solve a physical problem? They might see it as self-indulgent or a waste of time, preferring to focus on more tangible things like diet or exercise. The logical path seems to be to ignore the mind and focus on the body. But this ignores the fundamental truth that your nervous system is the bridge between your mind and your body. What happens in your head creates real, measurable, and potent chemical changes in your blood vessels. The shift from a healthy state to a dysfunctional one often begins with a mind that is stuck in a state of high alert. The constant low-grade stress of modern life, financial worries, family issues, health concerns, the 24-hour news cycle, keeps our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, perpetually switched on. This is the root of the problem. Here's the science. As we've touched on, an erection is a function of the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, digest, and procreate system. You cannot be in a fight or flight state and a rest and digest state at the same time. They are mutually exclusive. Chronic stress keeps your body flooded with two key hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. First, cortisol, over the long term, suppresses testosterone production and can damage the delicate endothelial lining of your blood vessels, the very tissue that produces nitric oxide. It literally makes your vascular system less responsive. Second, adrenaline, or epinephrine, is a powerful vasoconstrictor. Its job is to shunt blood away from non-essential functions, like digestion and erections, and toward your large muscles so you can fight or flee from a perceived threat. The problem is, your nervous system can't tell the difference between a tiger in the bushes and an angry email from your boss. The physiological response is the same. A man living with chronic, unmanaged stress is marinating his body in anti-erection chemicals 24/7. Third, this mental stress creates a devastating psychological loop. An initial failure to perform, perhaps due to stress, creates performance anxiety. This anxiety then becomes the new stressor, releasing more cortisol and adrenaline before the next intimate encounter, making failure even more likely. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy powered by your own brain chemistry. I want to tell you about George. George, a 66-year-old who had recently sold his small business, was supposed to be enjoying a relaxed retirement. He had worked hard his whole life, a classic provider who always put his family first. He was physically healthy, maybe carrying a few extra pounds, but his blood work was good. But retirement wasn't relaxing. He felt adrift, worried about the future, and constantly replaying business decisions in his head. His mind was a whirlwind of what-ifs. His libido and erectile function, which had been solid his whole life, simply vanished. He felt like less of a man. He tried a low-dose daily pill, but it felt artificial and didn't solve the underlying lack of desire. He felt completely disconnected from his own body. His wife, seeing his distress, gently suggested they try a guided meditation app she used. George scoffed. "I'm not a monk," he said. "I'm a builder. I fix things with my hands." But the sadness in his wife's eyes convinced him to try. For 10 minutes each night, they would lie in the dark and listen to a soothing voice guide them through a simple body scan meditation. It was excruciating for him at first. His mind would not shut up, but he stuck with it for his wife's sake. After a month, the change was subtle but profound. He wasn't just calmer, he was more present. The constant chatter in his head had quieted. He started noticing the taste of his food, the feeling of the sun on his skin. And then, one evening, while just relaxing on the couch with his wife, he felt a flicker of genuine desire, a feeling he thought he'd lost forever. The pressure was gone, replaced by a simple sense of connection. He now understands that his busy mind wasn't a sign of intelligence, but a state of chronic alarm, and that calming his mind was the most practical, mechanical thing he could do to restore his body's natural balance. This approach is heavily supported by a mountain of scientific evidence. Institutions like the Benson Henry Institute for Mind-Body Medicine at Massachusetts General Hospital have spent decades proving the physiological effects of what they call the relaxation response, which is the direct opposite of the stress response. They have shown conclusively that practices like meditation can lower blood pressure, improve heart rate variability, reduce inflammatory markers, and yes, decrease cortisol levels. Leading sexual health experts like Dr. Emily Nagoski, in her groundbreaking work, emphasize that for sexual response to occur, the brain needs to receive the signal that it is safe. A nightly decompression practice is a direct and powerful way to send that all-clear signal. This is about taking control of your own internal environment. It reframes relaxation not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity for the functions you value. This connects to the core value of inner peace and emotional sovereignty. It's the decision to consciously downregulate your own nervous system, to refuse to let the chaos of the external world dictate the chemistry of your internal world. It is an act of profound self-care that tells your body, on the deepest level, that it is safe, it is cared for, and it can now turn its resources toward functions of pleasure, connection, and vitality. As we continue on this journey of nightly restoration, let's look at a simple, physical posture that can have surprisingly far-reaching benefits. This brings us to our sixth ritual, the legs up the wall circulation boost. This might sound like something you'd see in a yoga class, and for many men, that alone might make them dismiss it. It can seem passive, strange, or simply not manly enough to be a serious tool for health. The conventional thinking is that to improve circulation, you need to do something active and vigorous, like running or lifting weights. While that's true for building cardiovascular capacity, it overlooks the other half of the circulatory equation, the gentle, passive return of blood and fluid back to the core. This is where a simple, nightly inversion can be a game changer, especially as gravity takes its toll over the decades. The science behind this posture, known in yoga as Viparita Karani, is rooted in physics and physiology. Throughout the day, especially if you sit or stand for long periods, gravity pulls blood and lymphatic fluid down into your legs and feet. This can lead to swelling or edema and makes your heart work harder to pump blood back uphill. This venous pooling can contribute to a sluggish circulatory system. Here's how elevating your legs for 5 to 10 minutes before bed helps. First, it provides immediate circulatory relief. By simply reversing the pull of gravity, you allow pooled blood from your legs to flow effortlessly back toward your heart. This reduces the strain on your heart and improves overall circulation without any exertion. Think of it as hitting a reset button on your lower body vascular system. Second, this posture is incredibly calming for the nervous system. Lying on your back with your legs supported triggers what's known as the bear reflex, a process that helps regulate blood pressure. It sends signals to your brain that it's time to relax, activating the parasympathetic rest and digest response. This, as we've repeatedly established, is the essential prerequisite for erectile function. It helps transition you from the stress of the day into a state of deep calm perfect for sleep. Third, it aids in lymphatic drainage. Your lymphatic system is like your body's garbage collection service, clearing out waste products from tissues. Unlike the circulatory system, it doesn't have a pump like the heart. It relies on muscle movement and gravity. Elevating your legs helps drain stagnant lymphatic fluid from your lower body, reducing inflammation and improving tissue health. A healthy, non-inflamed body is a body that functions better on every level. If you're finding this information helpful and are still with us on this journey, just type the word valuable in the comments below. It's a great encouragement for us and helps more people find this content. Thank you for that. Now, let me tell you a story about a man named Arthur. Arthur was a 72-year-old retired mail carrier. He had spent 40 years on his feet, walking miles every single day. He was proud of his stamina, but in retirement, his legs often felt heavy, achy, and swollen by the end of the day. He also struggled with inconsistent erections, which he attributed solely to his age and his blood pressure medication. He just accepted it as his lot in life. His baseline was one of resignation. This is just what happens when you get old. His daughter, a yoga instructor, had been telling him for years to try putting his legs up the wall. He always brushed it off as yoga stuff, not for a practical man like him. One evening, the aching in his legs was particularly bad, and out of sheer desperation, he decided to give it a try. He slid a cushion under his hips and rested his legs against the headboard of his bed. The initial sensation was strange, a tingling in his feet. But after a few minutes, a feeling of profound relief washed over him. His legs felt lighter, and a sense of calm spread through his whole body. He made it a nightly habit. He'd put on some quiet music and just rest in that position for 10 minutes before sleep. He noticed he was sleeping more soundly. But the real surprise came about a month later. His erectile function, which he had completely written off, started to show signs of life. It wasn't a miracle cure, but the improvement was consistent and noticeable. He's now 74 and hasn't missed a night. He realizes that by taking care of his tired legs, he was inadvertently improving his entire body's circulatory and nervous system health, creating the conditions for other systems to work better too. His only regret is his own stubbornness, which cost him years of comfort and confidence. This practice has strong backing from experts in vascular health and physical therapy. While you might not see a urologist prescribe this pose, vascular surgeons regularly recommend leg elevation for patients with venous insufficiency and edema. Physical therapists use it as a tool for recovery and nervous system regulation for athletes and patients with chronic pain. The principles are sound medical science. It's about applying a known therapeutic technique for circulation and nervous system calming to the specific goal of improving erectile health. The logic is clear. Better circulation and a calmer nervous system equal a body that is better prepared for sexual function. This is about seeing your body as an interconnected system. It's the wisdom to understand that an action taken to soothe your legs can have a powerful, positive effect on a part of your body you thought was completely unrelated. It connects to the value of holistic well-being, of treating the whole person, not just the symptom. It's a simple, physical act of kindness to your body at the end of a long day, a gesture that pays dividends in ways you might never expect. Next, we address an environmental factor that we control every single night, yet most of us get it wrong. Our seventh nightly ritual is the temperature regulation tactic. We all know the feeling of a bedroom that's too hot or too cold. We think of it purely in terms of comfort. We adjust the thermostat or the blankets until we feel cozy, and then we don't give it another thought. The logical approach is to set the temperature to whatever feels pleasant on the surface. But cozy and biologically optimal are often two different things. The mistake is in thinking that a warm, snug bedroom is the best environment for sleep. In reality, a warmer room can be a major saboteur of the deep, restorative sleep that is absolutely essential for hormonal health and, by extension, erectile function. The science here is centered on the relationship between core body temperature and sleep architecture. In order to initiate sleep and, more importantly, to descend into the deepest, most restorative stages of non-REM sleep, your body's core temperature needs to drop by a couple of degrees. This temperature drop is a powerful signal to your brain to begin the night's repair and regeneration cycle. A bedroom that is too warm makes it physically difficult for your body to shed this heat, preventing you from reaching those critical deep sleep stages. This creates several specific problems. First, as we've emphasized, the production of both human growth hormone, HGH, and testosterone peaks during this deep sleep phase. HGH is vital for cellular repair throughout the body, including the vascular tissues. And testosterone, of course, is the primary driver of libido and sexual function. By sleeping in a room that's too warm, you are literally robbing yourself of your peak hormone production window. You're leaving your most powerful tools for vitality on the table. Second, a warmer environment leads to more fragmented, restless sleep. You're more likely to toss and turn and have micro-awakenings that you might not even remember, but which are enough to disrupt your sleep cycles. This leads to that feeling of waking up tired even after 8 hours in bed, and it contributes to the elevation of cortisol we've talked about. Third, there's a fascinating phenomenon known as nocturnal penile tumescence, or NPT. These are the erections that men experience during sleep, typically during the REM stage. These are not related to sexual dreams. They are an involuntary reflex that is thought to be the body's way of oxygenating and exercising the penile tissues, keeping them healthy and responsive. Better overall sleep quality, with more time spent in the proper cycles, supports this vital maintenance process. A cool, dark room is the ideal environment to facilitate this. Let's look at the story of Samuel. Samuel, a 69-year-old retired librarian, loved his creature comforts. He kept his home, and especially his bedroom, toasty warm year-round, often setting the thermostat to 74 degrees, 23 C. He equated warmth with comfort and security. He was in decent health, but suffered from chronically poor sleep and a near-total loss of erectile function, which he and his doctors simply chalked up to old age. He felt perpetually tired and low on energy, a shadow of his former self. He had resigned himself to this being his life now. One day, his furnace broke in the middle of winter. For 2 nights, while waiting for the repairman, the temperature in his bedroom dropped to about 65 degrees, 18 C. He bundled up under heavy blankets, grumbling about the cold. But on the morning after the second cold night, he woke up feeling a way he hadn't felt in a decade, genuinely rested. He felt clear-headed and energetic. To his utter shock, he also experienced a strong morning erection, something he thought was a distant memory. He was baffled. When the furnace was fixed, he went back to his warm room, and the fatigue and dysfunction returned. The light bulb went on. He did some research and learned about the link between cool temperatures and deep sleep. He decided to conduct his own experiment, setting his thermostat to 66 degrees, 19 C, every night. The difference was life-changing. His sleep quality transformed, and with it, his energy, his mood, and, most importantly to him, his return to a healthy, functioning intimate life. He now preaches the gospel of a cold bedroom to all his friends, realizing he had been sabotaging his own vitality for years out of a simple preference for being cozy. This is not fringe science. Sleep researchers and institutions like the Cleveland Clinic and Johns Hopkins Medicine consistently recommend a cool sleeping environment, typically in the range of 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 19 Celsius, as a cornerstone of good sleep hygiene. They cite the effects on core body temperature, melatonin production, and the ability to achieve deep sleep. Again, they may not label it an erection-boosting tip, but the physiological chain of events is undeniable. When you optimize sleep, you optimize the hormones produced during sleep. When you optimize those hormones, you optimize the functions they govern. This is an act of aligning your environment with your biology. It's the wisdom to understand that sometimes a little discomfort, like a cooler room, can lead to a much greater, more profound state of well-being. It connects to the value of discipline and intentionality, the choice to deliberately create the optimal conditions for your body's nightly repair, rather than passively accepting whatever environment you find yourself in. It's a simple, powerful way to take control and support your body's most fundamental processes. Finally, we arrive at our 8th and last nightly ritual, one that involves what you eat, but in a very specific and strategic way. This is the nutrient priming snack. The common advice for men trying to be healthy is often to stop eating several hours before bed. The logic is that eating late can lead to weight gain, acid reflux, and disrupt sleep. And for large, heavy, carb-laden meals, that is absolutely true. This has led many health-conscious men to adopt a strict no food after 7 p.m. rule. But in our effort to avoid a negative, we may be missing an opportunity for a positive. The shift from helpful to harmful is the move from avoiding detrimental late-night meals to avoiding any and all nutritional intake, thereby missing a key window to provide your body with the specific building blocks it needs for nocturnal hormone production. The science here is about providing targeted micronutrients that support the two things we've seen are critical: sleep quality and testosterone synthesis. Your body is a factory that runs 24/7, and the night shift has specific raw material requirements. A small, carefully chosen snack can deliver these materials right when they're needed most, without spiking your blood sugar or causing digestive issues. There are two key minerals we want to focus on. The first is zinc. Zinc is arguably the most important mineral for male sexual health. It plays a direct role in the enzymatic processes that convert cholesterol into testosterone. A deficiency in zinc is strongly linked to low testosterone levels. Providing a small dose of zinc before bed ensures the raw materials for the testosterone factory are readily available during those peak production hours of deep sleep. The second is magnesium. Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral. It plays a crucial role in calming the nervous system by regulating neurotransmitters like GABA, which promote sleep. It also helps relax muscles throughout the body. Many people, especially older adults, are deficient in magnesium. A small boost before bed can improve sleep latency, how fast you fall asleep, and sleep efficiency, how much time you spend actually sleeping. It works synergistically with a cool room and a calm mind to promote deeper, more restorative rest. A third bonus ingredient, found in things like dark chocolate, are flavonols, which are antioxidants that have been shown to improve endothelial function and promote nitric oxide production, supporting vascular health. Let's talk about one last person, a man named Thomas. Thomas, a 64-year-old retired engineer, was meticulous about his health. He tracked his calories, ate a low-fat diet, and prided himself on his discipline. His rule was absolute. The kitchen was closed after dinner. He was doing everything right. He was lean and fit, but he felt a persistent lack of drive, and his erections were unreliable at best. He felt that despite all his efforts, his body was failing him. He felt immense frustration, like he was following the rules of a game, but still losing. His doctor found his testosterone was borderline low, but offered no dietary advice beyond eat a balanced diet. Discouraged, Thomas started reading men's health forums online. He kept seeing men talking about zinc and magnesium. He was skeptical, as he thought his balanced diet should be enough. But he saw a post about a specific pre-bed snack, a small handful of pumpkin seeds, high in both zinc and magnesium, and one square of very dark, 85% cacao, chocolate. It seemed too simple, too enjoyable to be medicine. He decided to break his rigid rule and try it. Every night, about an hour before bed, he would have his small, prescribed snack. He didn't notice anything for the first week or two, but he did notice he was feeling a bit more relaxed in the evenings. Then, gradually, over the next month, he started to feel a shift. His morning energy was better. He felt a return of his old spark. Intimate moments with his wife became less fraught with anxiety and more successful. He realized his restrictive, healthy diet was actually starving his body of the specific micronutrients it needed at the most critical time. His discipline was actually a form of self-deprivation. He now sees that nutrition isn't just about restriction, it's about strategic provision. This strategy is well supported by nutritional science and endocrinology. The link between zinc deficiency and hypogonadism, low testosterone, is well established in medical literature. Numerous studies published in journals like the Journal of Human Nutrition and Dietetics have confirmed the role of magnesium in improving sleep quality in older adults. While a doctor might just prescribe a zinc or magnesium pill, obtaining these nutrients from whole foods provides them in a matrix with other beneficial compounds. For example, pumpkin seeds also contain healthy fats and tryptophan, an amino acid precursor to both serotonin and melatonin. Leading functional medicine doctors and nutritionists often recommend this kind of targeted nutritional timing. They understand that when you eat can be as important as what you eat, especially when it comes to hormonal optimization. This is the ultimate act of proactive health management. It's the wisdom of a master mechanic who not only tunes the engine, but also ensures it has the highest quality oil before a long run. This connects to the value of precision and intelligence. It's moving beyond blunt dietary rules, don't eat, to a more nuanced, sophisticated approach, provide the right fuel at the right time. By ending your day with this small, purposeful act of nourishment, you are sending a final, powerful signal to your body. I am giving you everything you need to rebuild, restore, and be strong. Reaching this stage of life, in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, doesn't mean accepting decline. It doesn't mean that your best days of vitality and connection are behind you. If anything, it's the time when your wisdom can become your greatest strength. It's a time when you have the experience to question the systems and the one-size-fits-all advice that is so often handed out. There is immense courage and power in choosing to do less of what's harmful and more of what is fundamentally nourishing. There is wisdom in understanding that the most powerful solutions are often the quietest ones, the ones that work in harmony with your body, not against it. True healthcare at this stage of life should be a conversation, not a conveyor belt of prescriptions and procedures. It should be about honoring the incredible, innate intelligence of your body and supporting its ability to heal and maintain itself. It's about being deliberate in our daily actions rather than just being reactive to symptoms as they arise. This is a shift from chasing disease to cultivating wellness, from fighting against your body to working with it. I encourage you to be an active participant in your health. Talk to your partner. Talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Don't just ask what a pill can do for you. Ask what you can do for yourself. Weigh the benefits of any intervention against the burdens, the side effects, the cost, the impact on your quality of life. Your time, your energy, and your comfort are precious resources. You have earned the right to be the chief architect of your own well-being. You have a lifetime of wisdom to draw upon. Use it to live on your own terms, with vitality and with dignity. Not with resignation, but with resolve. Not with passivity, but with purpose. Not with a sense of loss, but with a vision of a rich, connected, and meaningful life ahead.